Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing refrigerator pickles because it's this time of the year that I get overrun with produce, especially cucumbers, and I want to use them up and I don't want to waste them. So I'm going to be using my pickling cucumbers today, and I'm going to show you how we make refrigerator pickles. Alright, I want to show you what stuff I have out for refrigerator pickles. Now the good thing about refrigerator pickles is, one, you don't have to can them. But two is you can make them however you like. It's not always one size fits all. Now, one thing I would encourage when you're doing it is to use pickling cucumbers. These are specifically for pickles. They just work better. Now you could use like an English cucumber if you had those type stuff, but they don't always end up as good as pickling cucumbers. But if that's what you have on hand, or if you want to buy that from store, you can do that too. Now I'm going to be using my mason jars today for this. I don't know how many I'm going to get out of this, so I'm going to just keep going until I run out of space. But this is what I have out. I have some garlic, some chopped up jalapenos, chopped up onions, I have some fresh dill, then I have white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, sugar, pickling salt, and then you don't have to use all these things. You can make it how you want. But I have dill seeds. You can use these in case you don't have fresh dill. Peppercorns, whole peppercorns, and then mustard seeds. And if you don't like the taste of mustard seeds, just leave these out. I mean, it does give it a different flavor, but it tastes good. See, I got this on sale. Always look for stuff on sale that's cheap. But you don't have to use all these things. I like all these things, and they work just fine. But if you don't like heat, leave that out. You don't have to put certain things in it. It's a very, you can adjust it to your likes. But I am going to show you the brine we're going to make here in a second. Right, this is the brine we're going to make. Now, I did use two different types of vinegars. I used apple cider vinegar and regular vinegar. If you do not like the taste of apple cider, just use fully regular white vinegar. You don't have to do that. You don't have to mix them. That's just personal preference. So I have 2 cups of white vinegar in here and 1 cup of apple cider, because I'm making some pretty big jars. It's not just one jar, so I adjusted the recipe. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of pickling salt. This is what I can with anyways, so, but this is a good brand. I'm going to do 1½ teaspoon of peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of mustard seed. And that's all I'm going to put in here right now. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to get it to just right after it boils. Now I'm not going to put in any of the dill or the dill seeds or the garlic. Now you can put the garlic in here and you can let it cook, but I'm going to just put it in the jar with the dill and the dill seeds. Alright, my brine came to a boil, and I just turned it off. Now you just let it sit here and cool off. And while it's cooling off, we're going to get the cucumbers ready. Okay, I only have enough fresh dill for 1, so I'm just going to put it in there. And in these, I'm going to put my dill weed seeds. And then I'm going to put garlic in each one. Probably the bigger ones I'll put 2. And then I'm only going to put the jalapenos probably in one of them. Yeah, I'll put them in a big one and a little one. Remember, it's customizable, so you don't have to put anything hot if you don't want anything hot. And now onion has a great flavor, adds a great flavor. Now I put these at the bottom because if you add them in after you put in your pickles, they like to float out of the top when you open up the jar, which is not going to hurt anything. You just ram the cucumbers inside. Okay, this one has the fresh dill in it, so I'm not going to put dill weed seeds in there. But I am going to put 1/4 of a teaspoon in each of these jars. Probably a heaping one for this big one. And that can be substituted for fresh dill. Now we're going to cut up the cucumbers. And I did not buy this. This is a recycled jar that I had other spices in. And then these are my seeds. If you look at my dill weed video, these are the seeds that I saved. And you can actually plant these and it'll grow you a dill plant. But you can also use it in canning and also pickling. Okay, when you're cutting cucumbers to make refrigerator pickles, or even when you're doing it to can them, make sure, first of all, you wash these really good. I scrubbed these really good. I just took a washcloth, a clean washcloth, and I scrubbed it with water. Okay? Just put it underneath the water and I scrubbed it. Now, when you are doing the pickles, you want to make sure you cut off the blossom end. So, there's the stem. That's the stem end. And then you have your blossom end. That's where the flower was at the beginning. You always want to cut that off, and you want to cut a decent sized portion off, okay? Because the blossom end can make your pickles yucky. So I'll just cut off both ends. Okay? Now, you can do spears, or you could have done rounds, which I will do probably some of these in little rounds and then some in spears. But you just cut them depending on the size of your cucumber. You can cut them in thirds or fourths, okay? If you want spears, just do that, okay? And I'm just going to keep going with these. I may not need all these, but I'm going to cut these up and do some in rounds. Let me get some for rounds. Okay, remember, blossom end needs to come off. And then if you like them thicker, I would do them thicker, okay? It's all personal preference. Okay, so I'm going to do pickle rounds and then pickle spears. And I'm going to keep chopping them up, and then we're going to put them in the jars. Now when you're stuffing these jars, just make sure you can get a lot in there. Just keep ramming them in until no more will fit. Okay? And all your stuff is at the bottom, so it's not floating out of the top when you open it. Or you could even do layers. You can just try to open this up some before you fill it up and put it in. I'm going to do probably rounds in this one. And remember, if you have a shorter jar, make sure you cut off enough to where it will fit in your jar. Because you don't want a huge pickle that's up here and you're just going to have to keep cutting off the tops. All right, I did end up using all of those pickles, and there were 7, except for just a little bit left, which can be for fresh eating. So 7, I could probably put some more in this one. 7, I think they were Boston pickling cucumbers. Any type of pickling should work fine. I mean, any cucumber will work. They're just not going to be as good as some of the ones that are specifically for pickling. But once the brine has cooled down, I'm going to wait about 30-40 minutes and let the brine cool down in them. I'm going to pour it over the tops, and then I'm going to put the lids on. Now you don't have to, you can use the lids that it came with, or you can use these. I got these at Walmart. They're great, especially when you open up a jar that you water bath can or pressure can, and you don't want to put the regular lid back on. These are great. I'll try to link this in the description. But I mean, use whatever you got. You don't have to use these jars. You can use any type of glass containers. You can use these. Or if you have a big round one that's glass, use that. If you don't care to have that, you just like having them broke up. So these are great to use for this instance. Also, I forgot to mention that if you like really crispy pickles, which these should be pretty crispy because I'm not going to be cooking them, but some people like to soak their cucumbers before they cut them in ice water for a couple hours, or leaving them in the fridge overnight. Or people like to put tannins into the jars with the pickles, which would be like grape leaves, horseradish, oak leaves, stuff like that. That will keep them crispier for longer because it releases a tannin, which is a chemical to keep them crispy. But I mean, you don't have to. These should stay pretty crispy. But if you're able to do that and you want to try that, try that. Okay, my brine is pretty cool. I mean, it's not completely cold, but that's fine. I'm just going to put it in now. Most of the peppercorns are in the pot, which I'll get some more out here in a second, and I'll just spoon the peppercorns and the other stuff into the jars. Okay, I actually had to go back and make half of that recipe of brine because it didn't have enough. It only filled this one up about this much, and this one didn't have any. So, I mean, it took more than I thought, but this one will just have to sit a little bit longer to come to room temperature, and then these should be okay to just put the lids on and put in the fridge. And let these sit at least, I would say at least a day, 1 to 3 days before you eat them. Once they cool down, just give them a good shake to mix up the spices and stuff inside. See the jalapenos in that one. And then, like I said, leave them for 1 to 3 days in the refrigerator. And these will stay good for 2 to 4 months. It just depends. And I'm sure you'll eat them before that time is up. This is a great way to use your cucumbers up. Don't let them go bad. Don't waste them. Alright guys, that's it for the refrigerator pickles. They're really easy, and remember they're customizable to what you like and you don't like. So go make some pickles, and I'll see you guys next time.